Welcome to the news on NTA International. I'm Stella Inameti, and Taiwo Ozoma is the sign language interpreter. Let's begin with the headlines. President Bola Tinubu advocates a total rephase in global financial architecture of Africa's mineral resources. Indonesia and European Union finalized negotiations on a trade agreement after nearly a decade of talks. As Nigeria works towards improving its criminal justice system, National Assembly unseals office of suspended Kogi Central Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. Thanks for joining us. As it is the desire for the United Nations to pursue peace around the globe, the opening session at 80th UNGA threw open the floor for possible drive towards peaceful coexistence around the world. Called from the words of leaders, Kolo Mohammed tells us more.
80 years on, the pressure of founding fathers of the need for a peaceful world still abound, as there are pockets of crisis around the world, some creating unbelievable humanitarian situations difficult to contain by the UN and other humanitarian ventures. The session opened with an overview of the crisis situation in different parts of the world by the Secretary General of the United Nations.
What kind of world will we choose? A world of raw power or a world of laws? A world that is a scramble for self-interest or a world where nations come together? A world where might makes right or a world of rights for all? Excellencies, our world is becoming increasingly multipolar, and this is positive, reflecting a more diverse, dynamic global landscape. But multipolarity without effective multilateral institutions can court chaos, as Europe has learned the hard way, resulting in World War I. It was multipolar, but there was no multilateral institutions.
War in Ukraine, Gaza and Sudan made the front banner in the narratives of major global leaders. U.S. President Donald Trump spoke about the wars that could have been avoided. He placed blame on especially Russia and Hamas, saying Hamas rejected an offer for peaceful progress towards permanent ceasefire. On the whole, world leaders have maintained the stance of the blame against Israel regarding the war in Gaza. Kolo Mohammed, NTA News.
Nigeria's Vice President Kashim Shettima is set to deliver Nigeria's national statement on the 80th United Nations General Assembly session, leading Nigeria's delegation as directed by President Bola Tinubu. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jubrila, who is in New York, is set to bring us expectations on Nigeria's national statement to the General Assembly and other engagements.
Hello, studio. Nigeria is participating at the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly, holding in New York. And Vice President Kashim Shettima is representing President Bola Tinubu at this session. Yesterday, the Vice President joined other world leaders to commemorate the 80th anniversary of the General Assembly. And tomorrow, he is expected to present the national statement to the public, as Nigerians are anxiously waiting to hear the statement. With me to shed more light on the statement tomorrow is the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Communications, Office of the Vice President, Mr. Stanley Nkocha. Sir, Nigerians are anxiously waiting to hear the national statement of the President to be delivered by the Vice President tomorrow. What are we expecting?
Well, we've been here like for 2 days now, and you agree with me that it looks like a whole week, given the flurry of activities that the Vice President has been executing on behalf of Mr. President. Last year, when Mr. President did give his own national statement, it was a very blunt message, no missing of words. He was direct about it, calling for more seats for Africa at the United Nations Security Council. And so tomorrow, given that, yes, Nigeria is committed to multilateralism in the United Nations in terms of partnerships, in terms of openness, in terms of globalization. But one thing I know that Mr. President will be calling for will be the reforms of the United Nations. There's not going to be two ways about it. Mr. President is going to be going directly calling for reforms in the United Nations as a body, given the dynamics and the change that's happening across the country. We cannot stick to certain norms, we cannot stick to certain positions, certain structures in the United States, in the United Nations, given the fact that, look, this is 80 years, all right? And so Mr. President will be making some very, very emphatic positions which will definitely touch the heart and soul of the United Nations. And trust me, I don't want to preempt Mr. Vice President and of course in effect too the President's position, but trust me, it will be interesting, it will be something that everybody will be looking forward to. And by the time Mr. President raised the issues that is contained in that national statement, you agree, everybody will agree with me that yes, that this is one statement that is huge, this is one statement that is right in terms of time of execution, and definitely like the call which he raised last year for more seats for Africa in the United Nations Security Council. This national statement too is going to get the buy and of course the support countries of the world.
Thank you very much, Mr. Stanley Onkocha, the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Communications, Office of the Vice President. So let's cross our hands and listen to the national statement tomorrow. Back to the studio.
Thank you, Jibrila. President Bola Tinubu has called for a total rephase in the global financial architecture of Africa's mineral resources, saying it was time for its nations not only to finance its mineral sector, but also assert their influence and power in the African products' global supply chains. Represented by Vice President Kashim Shettima, the President made the call at the second Africa Mineral Strategy Group High-Level Roundtable on Critical Minerals Development in Africa, held on the margins of the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly in New York. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports.
A meeting for the collective action to bring Africa's mineral economy to reality for the benefit of the continent, pledging Nigeria's commitment towards catalyzing a mineral-led renaissance under the renewed hope agenda to unlock Africa's mineral economic future.
We must take the bull by the horns in financing our future. Never again shall we wait for capital to trickle in. With sovereign funds, blended vehicles and innovation tools like the Africa Mineral Token, Africa shall finance Africa. To safeguard this sovereignty, we must get our cobalt, lithium, graphite, gold, and rare earth, not as fragmented states, but as one continental bloc, wielding collective power in global supply chains.
He commended Nigeria's Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dele Alake, who chairs the event, and the Secretary General, Moses Michael of Uganda, for guiding Africa towards a path of productivity and pride.
There are many opportunities for increased cooperation between the EU and Africa, especially as we engage with our private sector to bring sustainable investments on the ground.
There is a sense of insecurity in our world where countries are rearming. What will fuel? What are the components needed for this production? They are the minerals that Africa has. The strategic nature of this mineral is so explosive in terms of what the world needs that Africa needs to be careful in terms of how it positions to make the most of these resources for its people.
Dele Alake called for cohesion amongst African nations, saying with determined and focused partnership in the mineral sector, Africa will harness in all ramifications the total benefit of a sustained and harmonized mineral sector. Meanwhile, Vice President Kashim Shettima also held a roundtable hosted by the Business Council for International Understanding in partnership with the Flour Mills of Nigeria and other conglomerates urging investors to come to Nigeria as there had never been a time like now to invest, given the enabling environment and the ease of doing business. Similarly, on the side events of the UNGA 80th session, Vice President Kashim Shettima held a bilateral meeting with the Chancellor of the Republic of Austria, Christian Stocker, at the UN headquarters in New York, where both countries agreed to forge new ties and explore new ways of deepening their relationships. From New York, Abraham Jibrila, NTA News.
Indonesia and the European Union finalized negotiations on a trade agreement after nearly a decade of talks, with the pact being signed in Bali by EU Trade Commissioner Maros Sefcovic and Indonesian Minister of Economic Affairs Airlangga Hartarto. The European Union and Indonesia on Tuesday reached an agreement on a free trade pact after more than 9 years of negotiations. This process was expedited by U.S. President Donald Trump's sweeping tariff policy. The deal will scrap most tariffs on EU exports, including car parts, agriculture and pharmaceuticals, while opening investment in sectors such as electric vehicles. The talks, launched in 2016, had been stalled by issues over palm oil and deforestation rules. However, Trump's aggressive tariff policy forced parties to expedite an agreement. Officials estimate that EU exporters will save about 600 million euros annually in duties. About 80% of Indonesia's exports to the EU, including palm oil, footwear, textiles and fisheries, will be tariff-free under the pact. It must now be ratified by EU member states, the European Parliament and Indonesia before it becomes into force, likely by 2027. The federal government is reiterating support to the creative media skills sector in Nigeria to harness its potential and develop it as a global standard human capital training hub. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, gave this assurance while receiving the Executive Secretary, National Board for Technical Education, Professor Idris Bugaji, and the management on a courtesy visit. Salihu Abdullahi Gwanara reports.
National Board for Technical Education is one of the critical federal government institutions with the mandate to ensure the implementation of the nation's technical education policies. This collaboration is to strengthen the successes and seek the support of stakeholders in ensuring the effectiveness of the established creative media skills.
After the 70s, people neglected technical education, vocational education. We concentrated on paper qualification, and paper qualification is not taking us anywhere. The writing is very clear on the wall. Nigeria and across the world, everyone is refocusing on skills. That's why the motto of the MBT Honorable Minister is skills, not degrees.
Our goal is to work with the agencies under your esteemed ministry to fully embrace and operationalize the National Skills Qualification Framework.
The minister assured that the administration has demonstrated political will for a positive turnaround of the nation's education sector.
I do hope that the MBT is going to collaborate more with NELFON to ensure that it's not just degree or diploma awarding institutions that benefit from this NELFON program, so that the creative sector that you are also coordinating is also able to hook up to really join this. I think you need to have a better collaboration with the NELFON to ensure that more and more of our young men and women are able to go to school.
Thank you. Tonight, we're gonna make this a night to remember.
That is Geoffrey Daniels, founder of Shalama, the 1970s American R&B group, a cousin and teacher to late musical icon Michael Jackson. He was a guest of the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris.
Even when I'm not dancing, my body is
We have to enlighten Nigerians about what the band, the Shalama band, stood for, what it still intends to do, so that the younger ones will benefit from your experience, from all that you have done. It's really surprising to see that you are already 70 years old.
The 70-year-old entertainment guru says his prophecy about Nigeria's entertainment prospects is already on display around the world.
I would like to be more involved if I can, if they will allow me to, because, you know, they have their own thing. Their vernacular, they put their native language in the songs now. They got their beats in that. So if there's anything I can contribute, I would love to do collaborations.
This visit is ahead of his upcoming Shalama show sometime in October 2025 as part of activities to celebrate Nigeria's 65th independence. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi Gwanara, NTA News.
This is the news on NTA International. It's time to take a break. More stories when we return. Please stay tuned. Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. The Monetary Policy Committee has cut its benchmark monetary policy rate by 50 basis points to 27%, maintaining its firm stance against inflationary pressures in the economy. In line with this, the asymmetric corridor around the MPR was retained at plus 250 and minus 250 basis points, signaling the committee's continued preference for tight monetary conditions to anchor inflation expectations. On prudential ratios, the cash reserve ratio remains at 45% for commercial banks and 16% for merchant banks, reflecting the bank's commitment to mopping up excess liquidity in the system. The liquidity ratio was also held steady at 30%, further tightening financial system conditions. The committee reiterated its resolve to balance price stability with financial system soundness, noting that while inflation has shown signs of moderation, sustaining policy consistency remains crucial for long-term stability. Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu has so far raised a sum of 20.5 billion naira for the completion of the National Library under the Oluremi at 65 Education Trust Fund. She announced the amount during a luncheon with the media at the banquet hall of the presidential villa.
So we have 20,456,188,924.93 kobo, and it's still growing. Trust me, it is still growing.
She said the fund was raised through the contributions of notable Nigerians who answered her rallying call to generate funds towards the completion of the national monument using her 65th birthday celebration. While thanking those who donated towards the cause, the First Lady says her motivation for undertaking to raise the fund is not political, but towards helping to build the country piece by piece.
That is why if we take our baby steps in well-doing, before long things will begin to shape up for our beloved nation. We all have to rise up, play our parts in building, in the building process. A grain of sand and a little drop of water makes a mighty ocean.
The Deputy Director of Sergeant-at-Arms at the National Assembly, Alabi Adedeji, unseals the office of Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan Tuesday, 23rd September 2025. The office was sealed on the 6th of March 2025 after she was suspended by the Senate for 6 months for violation of Senate standing rules. Sources among her aides confirmed that the office was unsealed Tuesday morning to allow her access.
I, Alabi Adedeji, Deputy Director, Sergeant-at-Arms, hereby unseal the office. The office is hereby unsealed.
Senator Natasha had legally challenged the decision of the Senate and also appealed judgment on the matter at the Court of Appeal. The legal system of any nation determines its diplomatic ties and the inflow of foreign direct investment accruable to such country. It is in the light of this that the federal government under the present administration is overhauling the justice sector for efficiency and enhanced public confidence in the judiciary. Dela Atumbi of our judiciary desk reports that stakeholders in the justice sector are putting finishing touches to the final draft of Administration of Criminal Justice Amendment Bill.
The Subsisting Administration of Criminal Justice Act was enacted 10 years ago. Abuja 2015 brought about several innovations to the Nigerian criminal justice system, including speedy trials, restorative justice, electronic recording of confessional statements, as well as improved measures to prevent unlawful arrests and protect the rights of suspects. Other key innovations include the use of plea bargaining, suspended sentences, community service, compensation for victims, and a central criminal record registry for better record keeping. With the proposed amendment to Abuja, Nigeria is building a criminal justice system that is fast, fair, efficient, effective, and responsive. The review of Abuja 2015 is a vital step towards fulfilling that commitment.
This gathering marks a significant milestone in our collective effort to reform and strengthen Nigeria's criminal justice system. The Federal High Court has a unique role to play.
The review of the Abuja, therefore, presents an opportunity not only to reflect on successes, but also to refine provisions, reappraise, address shortcomings, and deliver a justice system that is truly responsive to the realities of our time.
It is the consensus of stakeholders in the justice sector that will move forward in the country's determination to achieve better service delivery in administration of justice. There is the need to leverage on technology and foster collaboration. Stakeholders equally agree that these are catalysts to enhancing access to justice and promoting the rule of law.
There is institutionalization of mandatory pre-trial case management. This is one of the biggest shortcomings of our criminal justice system. This law seeks to make pre-trial case management mandatory.
The Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015 stands as a landmark legislation harmonizing criminal procedure laws and ensuring more efficient, fair, and humane justice delivery.
The gathering, which is a stock-taking one, is brainstorming on persistent delays in trials, which continue to undermine justice delivery, and the need for enhanced access to justice through digital platforms. In Abuja, Dele Atumbi, NTA News.
To nurture the next generation of Nigerian aviation professionals, a mentorship program, Wings of Tomorrow, is igniting passion and curiosity among students. Organized by the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority in collaboration with Vonzota Gold, the program featured industry professionals who shared insights on how students can navigate their career paths in the aviation sector. Ramato Abdullahi reports.
To many young students, pursuing an aviation career is often perceived as being limited to roles such as pilots, air marshals, or air hostesses. However, the reality is that the industry encompasses a broader range of careers. This was highlighted by two panels of seasoned professionals from various disciplines within the aviation sector, who used discussions, simulations, and real-life scenarios to broaden the perspectives of these young Nigerians. The aim was to help them understand that, regardless of their career interests, the aviation sector has opportunities for them.
It is useful information that will enable you to take a informed decision and make sound choices.
Most of the careers in aviation, people look at it that are male-dominated. But I tell you, there is no area in aviation that you cannot find women.
The resource persons emphasize that soft skills such as self-esteem, interpersonal relationships, and decision-making abilities are essential for students to secure their place in this ever-dynamic and evolving industry.
I'm in science school. I can study medicine to be a doctor, and I can also study aeronautical engineering in the aspect of science.
And I also learned that the aviation industry is quite lucrative, because if the aviation industry was a baseline industry, this wouldn't happen.
Director General Services of the Federal Ministry of Aviation and Aerospace Development noted that the industry is critical to Nigeria's economy and encouraged students to take advantage of the vast employment opportunities it offers.
They have to be interested in the aviation industry, and they have to be obedient, young ones. And like we said, the sky is the beginning of their limits.
The essence is just to sensitize the young ones on the opportunities that are available in the aviation industry, so that they can have their minds attuned to pursuing careers in the aviation industry.
To really sensitize them, to get them interested, because they really need to know.
The event also featured award presentations and gifts to students who excelled in the essay competition of the Wings of Tomorrow program, in which 5 schools in the FCT participated. Ramatu Abdullahi, NTA News.
Next is a check on Wednesday's weather prospects in major cities around the world. And that's the news on NTA International. I am Stella Inamiti, and Taiwo Zoma, our sign language interpreter. Thanks for watching.